From the heart of Maine, this is the DuView Podcast.
All right, and welcome to this week's episode of the DuView Podcast. I'm your host, Du, a.k.a. Ryan Dumont, and this week I'm joined by a good buddy of mine from college, Mr. Jeff Jackson. Jeff, welcome on, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me, dude. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, you've been a big supporter of me even starting a podcast from the beginning. You're one of my idea guys that I like to bounce things off of, and I said, Jeff, I want to start a podcast. And you go, what do you think you're going to do? And, I laid it all out for you. And, here we are.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. When you brought the idea to the group, I was like, I think that for you, there's no really better platform than to get the spoken word of both yourself and, the interesting people you've had from Maine and the surrounding area.
And just highlighting the state of life, Maine life, good quality parts of Maine life in general. So,
yes, sir.
Unlike a lot of the other guests I've had on, Jeff is not a Mainer. Jeff's a New Hampshireite. He's a Granite Stater originally. Now resides in Massachusetts, but we'll unpack that in just a minute. But growing up in New Hampshire, buddy, you were always, Maine's southern cousin or next door neighbor, however you want to, call it that. So you spent your younger years in New Hampshire. What area of New Hampshire do you call home, buddy?
Of course, yeah. So I grew up primarily in Seacoast, New Hampshire, in a little area around Exeter. But came from Connecticut originally, and we just kept moving north.
Yep.
And then we found a good spot. We stayed there, and so there's no better place I could call home. And sorry to all the Mainers out there.
That's
but,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's Maine life, and then my views on top of my friends. And like I said, New Hampshire's a big part of my life too. I mean, we both went to St. Anselm. That's how we met. We both went to St. Anselm College, and I spent 5 quality years of my life in New Hampshire, of my young life in New Hampshire. So, I have a great appreciation, and you showed me around a lot of places that I never knew existed. You set me onto places in Portsmouth that I had never been to. And so I appreciate, you giving me some New Hampshire perspective and coming on today to share some New Hampshire perspective.
Of course, yeah. Here, happy to represent the 603. So,
yeah, of course, buddy. So what did you spend your time doing growing up? Like, what a lot of your day-to-day activities?
Of course, pretty typical, honestly. I grew up with 2 siblings, so, lots of time. We had a big parcel of land we grew up on, so
yep.
Lots of time exploring the woods there, coming across wildlife and building forts. So lots of appreciation for the natural part of the state,
yep.
Which I think, so it's a hard balance to hit now, on a tangent,
mm-hmm.
but between like the development and, expansion and trying to make New Hampshire much more, I don't know, diverse and very a communal area.
And I think a lot of, and you touch on that, I think New Hampshire is struggling with that right now because a lot of folks that live on the seacoast and southern part of the state usually are commuters to Massachusetts.
True, and that's how I started.
Yeah, right.
But, on top of enjoying the wildlife, grew up and really started to appreciate a passion for golf and skiing, and so
mm-hmm.
That's kind of a great thing.
Great places for both of those.
Of course,
activities.
Yeah. I mean, you're not too far from anything. That's one of the best, alluring parts about southern New Hampshire. Is that you're no more than an hour from any of the good things. You're an hour from Portland. You're an hour from Boston.
Yep.
So you're an hour to the mountains.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being in Augusta too. Hour to just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that convenience is something that we have up here in the Northeast. And being diverse enough between. The little bit of seacoast that you guys do have down in New Hampshire with the 4 miles of actual beachfront or whatever it is. I think it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah,
but
we're proud of that 4 miles, though.
We'll hold on to that as long as we can. But, like that being said, though, it's definitely an issue that they're going to have to tackle, just like, Maine's going to have to tackle the issue of an aging population. And
certainly.
And same thing, convincing people that this is an area that is worth their time, is worth raising a family, is worth... and again, all that stuff comes with good paying jobs and all that type of stuff, which is not always an easy avenue to
definitely
walk down. So.
Yeah.
But what else did you, other than golf and skiing, what did you spend a lot of time in New Hampshire doing in your free time?
Yeah, I didn't quite get to the same level that you did, but I did participate in Cub Scouting.
Yep,
so, that was also tied into the wilderness stuff. I love getting out there in the woods, So I'm sure a lot of guys in Maine can appreciate that too.
Oh yeah,
you know.
no, most definitely. I mean, I'm glad you be having that spot, your family spot up in North Conway. We were able to go hiking at Echo Lake State Park. I had never hiked up there, and
Yeah.
Cathedral Ledge.
Cathedral Ledge, White Horse Ledge.
White Horse Ledge. That was a beautiful spot. And you and Dev, we got to talk about Dev too.
Talk about Dev.
You guys just got engaged recently. So congratulations, buddy. I gotta
Thank you, sir.
talk about that. Can't skip that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You and your
St.
fiance,
alum.
Dev and Kelly,
so-
all great St. Anselm people. So
Yeah.
shout out to DK. Appreciate her. Great
Yeah.
lady.
DK for now, DJ in just over a year. so,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Jackson. No, but that's awesome. And so, do you miss New Hampshire at all now that you are residing full time in Massachusetts?
Yeah,
Do you miss just being able to like I said, you're in the greater Boston metro area. So, while there are still parks and different things like that, it's much more of an urban sprawl than even being on the seacoast in New Hampshire. So, how's that been as an adjustment for you, buddy?
It certainly is a fast adjustment now, but
Mhm.
when we moved there, it was more or less the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we moved, and it still felt pretty slow, but obviously you're in a more urban environment, so the pacing wasn't any different for me, really. What I did find was commuting from, like you were saying earlier, New Hampshire to Boston is just, it is
It's a
tremendously,
drain.
it's taxing.
Yeah.
But being able to do a 20-minute, primarily walking and using public transportation with the commuter rail,
Yeah.
it's just nice to do that and be able to kind of, take a moment, stretch your legs out for the day, and just kind of get at things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and it's a different routine, right? It's a different repertoire, and that's like
Mhm.
if I were to ever, leave the state of Maine and do that, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't try to
Mhm.
commute an hour. I think that again, that's insane. I mean, when I was working for the presidential campaign, I commuted from Newmarket down to Manchester
Right.
most every day, and that was enough of a commute. That was a 40-minute commute, and that was annoying.
Yeah,
I can
right
only
across
imagine.
101.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's 101 versus 95, 495, whatever whatever Mass Pike, whatever the heck you're
The
doing.
crucible.
The gauntlet.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
the traffic gauntlet.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, but
Um,
touching on what I miss about New Hampshire,
Yeah.
it's the space. I
Yep.
think that what people, and this is like no better litmus test, but Massachusetts property is so expensive,
Yeah.
and
What were
really
you saying the average price for a house in your neck of the woods is now? Last night?
well, so average for the whole state
Yeah.
is, I believe, 610. The average for our area is like 765. It's an absurd amount of money, and what you're really paying for is just the opportunity to own a residence, whereas in New Hampshire, you're paying for land that you can call your own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's whether, do you want a house on a couple thousand square feet, or do you want to have, a small abode that feels warm and cozy, and the fact that you can look out and survey land, really,
Right.
and go, I own this.
Yes.
It's something that, it's the true American dream. It's what really the foundation of people who wanted to get away from that kind of urban sprawl, like as London was developing,
Yeah,
and
right.
come over here and do that.
Historically,
Exactly.
yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure. Now that you mentioned that, that gets me thinking. And imagine coming over here when it's untouched. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Speaking historically, obviously, but if you were some of the first, European white settlers that came over. I'm not saying there was nothing here. There were people here. Obviously, the Native Americans were very much here. But that being said, though, there were no cities, no European cities anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the
Yeah.
sense that it was all ancient stuff. It was all untouched and beautiful.
Isn't it a
and-
wild notion?
Yeah, it is crazy. And I think people are, in a way, trying to get back to that. I think that's why, like you said, they're moving to these rural areas now. You have people leaving California and Texas
Mhm.
and all these other, urbanized, even up here. People are buying houses for cash and, like crazy.
100 over sticker.
Yeah. Or like heftily overpaying, like
Definitely.
100K over asking price
Mhm.
just so they get the house. Like, insanity. Like, and it's still going on. Eventually it's going to peter out. It can't keep running like it is, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for me, like the housing question
Yeah.
is so pivotal and important to our age demographic.
Hell yeah, it is.
The question of, are we just renting the rest of our lives, or is there going to be a certain point when people who aren't relying on parental or grandparental funding
Yeah.
to call a place their own.
Right.
Are we going to get to that point? So, I mean, for me, housing is such a big issue.
Yeah, no, for me too. I mean, it's definitely first and foremost in my mind. I mean, like I said, I'm one of those. I guess I'm a statistic. I mean, I still live at home, college degree, all that
Right.
shit, stable job, all that type of stuff. It's not like I'm a bum or anything like that. It's just, I'm kind of a bum. But that being said, it's not like I'm just out here, trying to take up, be a waste of space and not contribute or anything like that. It's just. Yeah, I see rental prices around here, and I can't do it.
It's hard to make the numbers make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Like for what they want and for what you get on the return and what's not included, basically
Mhm.
being like nothing. It's like I don't know. Like I did the year of renting in Newmarket, and that was all right. Like it wasn't. We had a good spot, Jim and I, and we paid I think a fair price.
A beautiful spot. Yeah.
I mean, but I don't think you find a lot of places like that now.
I don't think so either. And it'll be certainly interesting to see how that plays into like decisions as far as financing goes forward.
Yeah. No,
Um,
most definitely.
Rising interest costs, rising mortgage payments.
Oh,
It's really tough.
the bottom's gonna drop off this thing eventually.
I'd hope so.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, and I mean, I hate to sound like, like the opportunist, but all these people that went out and overextended themselves and are going to be severely in debt, they're going to have to sell shit off. They're going to. And I hate to sound like a parasite, but that's when it's going to be real convenient for me. Someone who's been biding his time and just waiting for something to happen in the sense, of things getting better and getting easier and more accessible.
Right.
And
yeah.
it's like, like I said, it's not like what I want to do, getting some land and building and whatever. It's not like I want to do anything that's overextending my means. Like, I'm not trying to live in a 16-bedroom, 10-bathroom home. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know
like,
many who are. Yeah.
I don't need that. I want to do a tiny home, and I want to have, like, a good garage with space above for entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Have a little humble, like you said, have a nice, humble, little cozy residence and have some land and just be able to do my thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that, like you said, I think that's call it the American dream, call it whatever you want, but I think that's the dream for a lot of folks.
Certainly.
Well, that was the dream I know for both of us in some capacity when we got out of, enrolled and applied and eventually got out of St. Anselm College, and so that's actually how Jeff and I met. We were both politics majors. And we'll get into your employment in a little bit, buddy.
Oh boy.
But Jeff and I are both political science majors. Both went to St. Anselm College, and we had literally our first the first political science class you basically take if you didn't test out with the AP, and they needed to take 5s because they didn't want you to skip over the class because, well, regardless. But Jeff and I were in American government together, and we became quick friends and just had similar views and continue to have similar views on a lot of things, a lot of overlap, and common interest. And so we just kind of kicked it off from there. We played Frisbee together for a quick minute, buddy.
Of course, yeah.
The ultimate Frisbee team. That one semester I did that before swapping over to rugby.
Which I think was the wise choice.
Yeah.
I think it's much more of an engaging game. And I think we joined Ultimate Frisbee for the same reason, which was a communal opportunity to exercise, meet new people.
Yeah.
And have a bit of fun. But when it gets competitive, I think that I kind of lost me because I was looking primarily for like an intramural kind of.
We were looking for more like a beer league Frisbee than
exactly.
Like professional Frisbee.
Yeah. So
not professional, but
when they were saying that they wanted to compete against other colleges, that's when they lost me.
Yeah. I played in one tournament at UMF.
Oh yeah.
And I happened to be home, for Columbus. I think it was Columbus Day weekend or something like that, or Columbus Day break, and it was all right, but like. I came from contact sports. That's the world I grew up in, and I bodied the shit out of somebody, and the refs were like, you can't do that. I'm like,
yeah,
it's ultimate. Like, let's go to war. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Let's duke the shit out right here. Let's do it.
Use the proper adjectives.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was going to say, it's not ultimate. This is
lukewarm Frisbee.
This is lukewarm. Yeah. No, it's not. And it's not shitting on Frisbee. I mean, I go Frisbee golfing. I love throwing a disc, but it's just like.
I don't know if it's. As far as like there's a comedian who I think maybe Brent Morin who has a great joke about that. He's like, in college you see it and there's nothing cooler than one of the guys throwing one of those backhand Frisbee tosses, and I'm like, it's something relatable about that. I don't know if it's you see it and you go, I can't do that. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I am not able to do that. No.
Oh.
And you are? Nice. It's all risk.
Mm-hmm.
It's all risk. But that being said, Jeff and I met at St. Anselm College and became, quick friends. And so When we were, thinking back to when you were a senior in high school, why'd you pick St. Anselm College, buddy?
Yeah, I think the same reason that I love New Hampshire so much,
Fair
which
enough.
is it's a quaint, intimate community where
Yep.
everyone knows everyone.
Yep.
I think that that's something Mainers can relate to.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of New Englanders in general.
Yes.
That's why
Northern New England especially.
yeah. So between that and at the time, I was also considering a lot of schools in the DC area because primarily looking at political programs. But basically, I did just a quick analysis and realized that I can either go down to DC and be hundreds of miles from home and get maybe a great experience, or I can be 45 minutes from where I grew up
Yep.
and realize, oh, I can meet everyone in politics.
Yeah.
Federal,
and
state,
not have to leave New
yeah,
England and not
exactly.
have to do the DC commute, and that I was of the same way, dude. Like I looked at some DC area schools and eventually I just decided on all the similar types like Merrimack and
Of course.
Stonehill, all
Yep.
those little
Endicott,
liberal arts,
yeah.
all those small liberal arts schools. And, I had the same basically reasoning. Like it was like go down to DC, go to George Washington, go to wherever, spend a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And still maybe not meet all the people and have the access to candidates and have the access to programs and nonprofits and stuff that we had in New Hampshire.
Definitely. And I think, it's kind of a humble brag, if
Yeah.
you will, but the people we've met, and myself especially, for better or worse, I've actually met every living president.
Yeah.
So through St. A's and a bit before that, too,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity.
Well, you were lucky too growing up, and that's the one thing, having the New Hampshire primary.
Yeah.
You guys have access to everybody at one point or another. A lot of them overstay their welcome, but that being said, though, we don't have that up here. Like we're lucky. Like Mike Bloomberg decided to come up, and
Yeah.
I guess Trump came through because he was ally. LePage was his buddy, but we never had. JFK came up once, you know what I'm saying? Went to church down in Booth Bay Harbor. Like little things like people went on vacation or something. They're not
Yeah.
coming to stump. You know what I'm saying? They're not coming to,
And yeah.
make speeches and shit like that.
Well, on that tangent, it's so funny because you say that with New Hampshire being such like an iron dome of politics
Yeah.
in the United States, where it's battling it out in the primaries, first in the country.
Yep.
Usually, if we're
Yeah.
not, and not including the caucus in
Right,
Iowa,
that's
but
a joke, but that's beside
yeah,
the point.
but
As
it goes
governor-
back 200
yeah.
years. I mean, Exeter alone has, if you walk right downtown, the historic inn downtown, it said George Washington passed through here on his way to declare, to the country, going town to town
Yeah.
about the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, we have actually up in Fairfield. So when the Revolutionary War was popping off, Benedict Arnold, they sent a detachment up to try and take Quebec City.
Yes.
So there's a spot you can follow the Arnold Trail. And I'd actually love to do a podcast episode and do an actual documentary type style thing on it and follow the trail
I was
all the
gonna say,
way
do it
up,
on
all
the
the way
road.
up. Yeah, well,
take stops.
it's a lot of boats. A lot of it's actually rowing and whatever. So and it's all against current too. It would be a tough. And there's dams in the way now and stuff like that. I mean, obviously
So not as
but
feasible
there's
as it
case in
was.
point, what I was getting at, there's a marker, similar to the George Washington thing. Benedict Arnold and his company came through here in 1775, a year
Yeah.
before, we even declared full independence. It was crazy though, there are houses around even in my area, dude, that were stops on the Underground Railroad.
Mhm.
They went into the basements and they found a bunch of hidden rooms and oh yeah, this place is safe house
Right.
for the Underground Railroad getting people up to Canada. This area is so rich in history; it's amazing.
I love that. Yeah.
Like I said, when we went out last night and we pull into the parking lot, and I'm like, yeah, there's Fort Western, oldest standing wooden fort in America.
Yeah, so I've actually never experienced until last night Augusta at all.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, and did you like it?
I loved it.
Took
You
them
know,
out to Cushnock. Eventually made our way down to Hollowell,
Mhm.
and next town over and went to Corey Tap. So, thank you to all those local
Yeah.
businesses. You guys do some great stuff.
I have a certain penchant for up and coming cities and towns
Mhm.
that formerly mill communities
Yeah,
and on
that's-
rivers. I don't know what it is
Yep.
because we lived in Manchester.
Yeah,
I have a certain thing for Portsmouth, New Hampshire, with the Naval Yard,
Yep.
and Newburyport, which was an old port city as well.
Yeah.
But if you explore, and this is primarily what I've been doing with my time in Massachusetts, is exploring these old spots out
Yeah.
in Western Mass, in the Berkshires, as well as going up to like northern central Massachusetts,
Yep.
Fitchburg, Maynard, like these really towns that have historic, rich history, but
Yeah.
people, declassify them and degrade them as, oh, it's not anything anymore. It's somewhere you wouldn't
Oh,
want
it's
to live.
just an old mill town. Yeah.
Exactly, because it's too far from Boston for a lot of commuters, and the history doesn't mean anything to anyone. But
Right.
I was like, those bricks can tell time.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah,
Hell
so
yeah, they can. And a lot of that stuff's beautiful. I mean, like I go in between work and just liking old stuff. I mean, yeah, I'd love to do a new construction house, but also be cool to have like live in an old mill loft space. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? With the
definitely.
exposed brick and the old wooden beams and everything like that. I mean, I like that stuff a lot. I think that stuff's really beautiful.
Hmm.
But that being said, it's hard on the upkeep. A lot of those
Certainly is.
places, and
Yeah.
and it's finding again. Same thing with downtown Augusta. Same thing with any of these places we're talking about. It's finding investors and finding capital to give these places facelifts, to gut them, and to renovate, and to also have people to have the money to start businesses and payroll and
Of
hire
course. Yeah.
employees
Well,
and
I
all
mean,
that.
they're passion projects.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They have. I mean, yeah, you're not always going to get that full monetary return, but you know what? You will have a nice space. And
Right.
again, you have to. I think we need to spend time on keeping some of the old stuff, like a lot of the new architecture. In my opinion, is really ugly.
Definitely.
It's just me. I like
Yeah.
a lot of like the modern stuff is just ugly to me.
Well, I think it's very geographic too.
Yeah.
Because I think New England, what this area stands for, is like we were talking about, historic America,
Yep.
the
old
earliest
way.
colonies, and kind of this like I don't even know, like a melting pot of European architecture.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, well, we're the first stop.
American industrialism.
We're
So,
the East Coast is the old part of the country.
yeah, it's
the-
just crazy to
The
think.
West is the new. It's always been the frontier. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? That frontier mentality. I mean,
Yeah.
you still got guys out there in Wyoming and Montana that still think, oh, we're still spreading across the West. Get the wagon out.
Yeah.
Like
But it's very indicative of our area. Whereas if you go out west, Seattle, San Francisco, they are structured as like Asian communities
yeah,
in such a cool way.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that in a lot of ways, Seattle reflects a smaller rendition of maybe Nagasaki or Tokyo,
yeah.
because it just really it embraces the new age architecture.
It's a very modern city. I mean,
Yes.
between building design and you look at the skyline versus like the Boston skyline. Like there are a lot of older buildings in Boston, and like you have some of your still like stonework type of stuff, but
Mhm.
you go out to Seattle, it's like the space needle,
Right.
and like
Whereas,
all
yeah,
new
even-
line. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
lines are different. The not to make it sound like I'm talking about cars, but like the body design of the buildings. You know what I'm saying? The
fascia.
all the outside stuff is what really matters to me.
Yeah. And I think that you look at it, and I really respect developers who are able to acknowledge the history of a building's fascia.
Yeah.
Modernize the interior all you want. I don't care.
You can do
But
whatever you want.
if it still looks externally the same as it did 150 years ago, that's an achievement.
Oh, yeah.
Because it would be very easy for someone to look at the cost benefit analysis and go, it might be cheaper for us to just knock this building down and build on the property that we own.
Right, and build
Yeah.
on use the land
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
the actual space that's already there. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's a dangerous game when you start ripping into that type of stuff. Like I said, I try to keep things, and that's another great thing. Getting back to St. A's, our campus is freaking beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I mean, like I said, I've talked to railed a few times about housing and not having enough places, not enough beds to lay your head, but it is a beautiful campus and it's a great community, and that's why I'm so thankful for meeting all of you guys who I've met out of St. Anselm College. I mean, minus my friends from home, you guys are basically my extended family. You know what I'm
Likewise,
saying?
yeah.
Like it's such a unique place,
Yeah.
and unless you go there and spend some time on the campus or are actually enrolled, I mean, you won't know. And so that's.
Right.
Like I said, we met in Professor Lucas's American Government class, and like I said, really sprung our friendship from there. I mean, you were my RA for a hot minute.
Oh my God, yeah. So, because I was deferred from the program, so
Right.
I joined 6 months in, or at least second semester
Yeah.
of my sophomore year, and was assigned to the hall we were living in. So at
Yeah.
the time, so I was moved to the RA room or whatever, halfway
Yep.
through the hallway, basically the moderator of the building, and
Yeah,
here I am among my peers, not among an upperclassman among lowerclassmen,
Right.
and I'm like, well, I think that the name of the game is respect, and I try to translate that into basically everything I do up to now. And so I think I learned a lot from the residential life
Oh, I'm
program.
sure.
great folks I worked with then, and I think that it's not given enough credit, but also there's some paradoxical, nonsensical things that they incorporate into the program.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
that could be
that's
revised,
anything.
but it is
Yeah.
anything. But I think it's such a unique opportunity, and it gave me a chance, I think, to strengthen my bonds a bit more with the guys when we were living there.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That was Brady Hall, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Brady.
that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Brady 104 for me anyway.
Yeah, I
Yep.
was Brady 101,
Yeah.
right in the middle there.
Yes,
Yeah.
you were.
And
yeah.
then I think when I moved in, though, that first semester, it was Brady 116. I could be mistaken, but it was that first floor when I was living with
Yeah,
Jim.
you're down the left end
Right.
side of the
Yep.
building. Yep. Yeah, you lived with another great friend of mine. Great. I mean, basically another brother from another mother, James Talalas.
Great
Love
guy.
that guy.
Yeah.
Love Jimmy. Definitely gonna have him on at some point. The poor kid's been so busy between moving and taking
can't
CFA
imagine.
tests and all this other stuff.
The man knows more about finance and the markets than I'll ever be able to comprehend.
And
So-
more, and he has more mental capacity for it than I think I even have. So, that being said, though, we had poker nights. We were playing just for fun. You taught me how to play poker, which was pretty
I would
cool.
say it wasn't much of a competition.
No,
teaching
no,
the
I-
guys, I feel like I hold all the cards.
You did,
Yeah.
literally.
So ending up with chips every single time when the guys walk away empty-handed, it feels a little low.
It always seemed to be you and me going double or nothing at the end, or just going all in and just said, "Fuck
Yeah,
it,
well,
we'll
wasn't
do it."
the highest stakes were maybe either a couple dollars or I'll get your drinks when we go to pub next time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it was great, and like I said, it was just building camaraderie from there, and we ended up. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I can't not talk about it. With you being here, we went to Ireland together,
The
which
best.
is really a highlight of our friendship in college. I mean, that was you, me, and James Talalas, who I just mentioned, and my first guest I had on the podcast, Lucas Rushton, my buddy, roommate from school. So we had a great time. That was an awesome trip. I mean, we landed in Dublin. We were there for what?
5 days.
4 or 5 days. We
Yep.
went for Easter break, because being at a Catholic college, they do that. But that being said, we landed in Dublin, palled around there for the day, went to the Guinness factory, did a few other things the first day. Had a really bad Airbnb. We were talking about this morning. Dude.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
the hot water didn't work. You and I had to cuddle on a pull-out couch. Like, oh man, it was that first Airbnb was tough, dude.
It was rough.
After
And-
flying over through the night.
Typically, I've only ever had good experiences with Airbnb.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
no, me
I think
too.
it's bound to be in there at some point. Even if it has good reviews,
right.
you never know.
Well, in terms of location, you couldn't beat the location of the
you
place.
could not beat the location.
It
right
was
downtown.
closer to downtown than even the second place we stayed at. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, when
when
we came back to
came
Dublin.
back,
Yeah.
we had like a whole house to ourselves. Basically, we had a flat basically to ourselves, which was awesome. It was over by their soccer stadium, their national stadium.
Yeah, it was close. It was close to the river, which
Yeah.
divides the city more
Right.
or less.
It was
right
close
in
to
half.
the other
Yeah.
side of the city, which we weren't in the first time.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's an awesome place. If you ever get the opportunity to go to Ireland, definitely do it. And we made our way south to Cork after that, and that's the last spot the Titanic touched land or something like that's their
Cove.
big claim. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cove, yeah.
So we ended up taking the train, which was lengthy, and we're all overtired at this point.
Right.
Heading down to Cork, and then from there another 45-minute train over to Cove. So
Yeah.
a really interesting town because it really, I think, captures the quaint kind of Irish essence, right?
Yes.
It's the colorful buildings of Cove are well known,
Yep.
and
The cathedral.
the
that was there
cathedral,
was
beautiful. Yeah, I mean the architecture was phenomenal,
Mm.
and we got a chance that night when we went out. to,
Yes.
Terrence Pub, which, by the
We-
way, if
we-
you go to Ireland, please go to Terrence Pub.
Yeah.
It's that place. We asked our Airbnb host,
What's the spot to drink?
I
Like,
was
where are
say,
we going? Yeah.
What pubs are in town? She's like, well, do you want to have a nice dinner or do you want to see a fight? And I said, I'd like to see a fight.
I'd like to see a fight.
And so, and so we went there, pints of Guinness and G&Ts, I believe, for
Yeah,
Lucas.
for Lucas.
Yeah.
It was his 21st birthday, and he was in a country where he could already legally drink.
That was a
so
hell
it
of a
was-
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, we were lied to. We went out to dinner at the restaurant in town, and they're like, oh, yeah, the cabs, they stay open till midnight, no problem, 1 o'clock. It's a Thursday night. Figure, maybe the Irish are out doing Thirsty Thursday like we
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
here in the United States.
And we had one too many, and then
we had one too many, and next thing we know, it's midnight, and we're
not even
looking for
midnight.
all.
It was like 1 a.m.
Yeah,
you know?
it
And,
was
yeah.
late. Case in point, and we're out in the street, and we're looking for a taxi or an Uber or something, and there's nothing. The town's dead. There's the pub behind us.
Silent. All I could hear was people leaving the pub
Yep.
and the rush of the water ahead of us, and that was it.
That was
so,
it.
looking around, it was like we were, like, man, what's his name? The guy in Tarantino's movie there, Pulp Fiction.
Oh, wait.
John Travolta.
Oh, yeah.
When he's looking around, he's got his hands
He's
up.
like, where are we?
Yeah.
Where am I?
we're out there questioning all of our decisions.
Yeah.
And
why did we go out tonight?
exactly.
Oh my God!
Why didn't we get a rental car? We're idiots. And so at
Not
this
that any
point,
of us could have driven said
I think it
rental
was
car,
my executive
but-
decision. I was like, listen, boys, this doesn't get any better.
No,
we're walking.
We
So-
pulled it up on somebody's phone. It was like, what was the distance? I think it was like an
it
hour
was
and
a
a half.
while.
It was an
Yeah.
hour and a half.
Whatever that equates to in walking terms. Yeah. But it was a long time because we weren't staying in town, which was our mistake.
Yep.
Um,
We were right on the outskirts.
and so I was like, okay, well, we got to just forge ahead. So I think you led the charge because I just kind of pointed you in the right direction. But and I kind of stayed in the back as like the shepherd, making sure we didn't lose any of the guys. So,
right.
All told, I think that's the highlight of my Irish experience.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean,
Mm.
I have a video of us drunkenly walking down the street, singing "Dancing in the Moonlight."
Mm.
That was playing off. We were playing music off my phone as we walked home, and it was just funny. It was just. We're lucky we made it back in one piece and all that, dude, because that road got real narrow at points and cars were whipping by us. It was just, it's
Blind
a tiny
corners, yeah.
coastal road,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of blind corners and no lights.
No lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no police to be seen either. I was
Yeah, we
really
walked
expecting we
by-
could get assistance from a squad car of some kind,
But
but
we walked by the police station and all the lights were off.
yeah,
They went home for the night already.
they must have been staffed with maybe 3 people.
Yeah,
That's my
for the
assumption.
whole county.
That's one thing I noticed over there too is that their presence of law enforcement, even in Dublin, was pretty minimal or at least unseen. So it felt very relaxed for a country which has its own issues.
Mm-hmm.
But just like I think it really gave you an opportunity without the sirens to just vibe with whatever town or city you were in.
Yeah,
Because
no,
there
that's true.
There was no excess noise, no
Right.
noise pollution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. And I mean, like, it's a whole different world over there, Like, it was funny talking with the people. Like, with that bartender we talked to who was, like, asking us about, well, at the time Trump was president. And they're like, how does that work? And I'm like, it doesn't. But beside the point, it's just, like, they were asking us all, like, the American things. Well, we're asking them, like, all the stereotypical Irish things. It's just a cool dynamic to actually have, like, and again, that's the nice thing about going to English-speaking countries in part because, I mean, you don't have a communication barrier, and if you have a question, you can ask it.
Right.
And not to say that you can't. And I mean, I loved some of my best travel experiences have been places that barely speak any English. So
Exactly.
it's,
I'm fortunate enough, I think you are too,
Yeah.
where if you came up growing up where it was a requirement in school or an elective you could take where you could take another language. And so
and I've taken enough French that I'm
Yeah,
good
you
there,
got
and I've
French
taken
and-
enough Spanish in college to get by.
exactly.
I'm not going to say I can go and have a good conversation anyway. It's going to be real piecemeal, but
okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to get, and I won't be like doing like, the John Travolta thing. Like, where am I? Like, I'll be
Yeah.
able to communicate and find my way somewhere anyway.
Yeah. Thankfully, so I actually have spent a lot of time speaking Spanish. So I haven't really had the opportunity to go to too many Spanish-speaking countries, which is unfortunate.
They're
I do want
awesome,
to do
dude.
that. They are awesome.
They really are. Cuba, I mean, well, that's the pinnacle of a lot of Spanish-speaking countries in a lot of ways. The one you can't go to is the one you want to go to.
Right.
But I'd love to do again now that COVID's going away. Whatever the hell's happening there? Love to go down to South America, go to Peru, Machu
Glorious,
Picchu. Yeah, like
I think
I want to do a lot of the old Aztec and Incan and like Mayan stuff.
right. Living in Massachusetts, there's obviously a large, diverse population
Of folks
South-
from south of the border.
South American
yeah.
Individuals, particularly at least in my area, it's a lot of Guatemalan and El Salvadoreños. So, which is great. I love their food and culture, and they
Yes.
bring a real vibrancy to the city.
Yeah, most definitely.
No one, in my opinion, can make better food than
Yeah.
El Salvadoran.
Oh yeah, no,
folks.
they. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, if you can eat any of their food, tamales, pupusas, I mean, whew.
I just like I can sit and eat a bag of plantains, man.
Yeah.
Fresh. I mean, like that's the awesome thing in Cuba, dude. You come out for breakfast, you get Cuban coffee and
Right.
plantains. It's like this is the diet I
Yeah.
want. Like it's terrible for me, but this is the diet I want.
It's great. Like, I get a chance to exercise my Spanish skills in town just
Mhm.
because there's a lot of first-time immigrants, non-native
Yeah, yeah,
English
yeah.
speakers, so
Yep.
that's great. And then just because I had a passion for languages, so then at that point I was like, I think I can branch off and learn other Romance languages pretty easily because they are pretty interconnected. So
derived from the same
exactly. So picked up
tree. Yeah.
Italian shortly thereafter, and then I got a chance.
Well, you and Dev went to Italy, right?
Yes, yeah, right after graduation. It was kind of her gift to me, which
Nice.
was phenomenal.
Yeah, you guys had a good time.
Dolce Vita, phenomenal.
Yep.
So if you, going up the French Riviera up through northern Italy and Piedmont, which is my favorite region of
Yep.
Italy, the wine is phenomenal. I mean, you can eat.
You could eat your way.
You can
through
eat an enormous meal and
yeah.
pay no more than €20 for 2 people.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's has a lot on the Applebee's 2 for $20, man.
I think certainly we ate at, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I think it is the oldest cafe in the world, 900 years old,
No
owned by
shit.
the same family in Torino.
Yep.
So right in the main square there, and it was kind of a stopping point for us on our way up to the Lakes region.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Were you in Lake Como? Is that?
yeah, Lake Como. Yeah. So
yeah.
we stayed in Toronto, which is up on the hillside.
Not to be confused with Toronto, Canada, but
No.
yeah, no.
Like Taranto.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Tirana.
Torino. But it overlooks Bellagio and the Swiss portion of
Oh,
the
that's
Alps. So
beautiful.
gorgeous.
That's beautiful. When I was in Italy, man, my favorite region, just because we were there in April and things were just starting to like really warm up.
Mhm.
And Tuscany, man, the sunsets in Tuscany were beautiful.
I haven't had the chance to go
The
yet, but I'm
hills are just
itching
it's just
for it.
rolling green hills and olive fields and
Mhm.
like it's the agriculture and other than the South being known for its like lemons and oranges, it's the other agriculture sector.
Of
It's
course.
the olive sector.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's where a lot of your olive oils and all other Italian olive products come out of.
Right. Yeah. I think that I like Piedmont and the Piedmontese people for the same reason I like a lot of mill towns, which
Yep.
is that it's kind of forgotten. It's the forgotten region of the country
Right.
because Torino, which is more or less the Detroit of Italy, because it's the headquarters for Fiat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's steeped in rich history. And
Yep.
there's a certain
Well, and you're a car guy too, so you're going to appreciate the hell out of that.
and we
so.
happened to cross. It was Ferrari week
Oh,
up there, so a lot of cool vintage red cars headed up there.
a lot of old ones too.
Of
a lot
course.
of classic Ferraris.
Yeah,
you know.
nothing too outrageous, if I remember correctly. It was a lot of 80s and 90s. If you're familiar with Ferrari, so the F355,
Yeah.
Testarossa 512 TR.
Yeah, but not like any of like the old like racing coupes and stuff like
no,
that.
not
you
like
know.
a 250 GTP.
Yeah, or
anything
like
that.
the real gems. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the old Ferraris.
No one like a Ralph Lauren. Or,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Jay Leno popping
yeah,
along
right,
in
yeah,
a $70 million
he's not showing
car.
up in his denim plaid outfit. You know,
I
so.
respect the hell out of that.
Oh,
I think
do.
that's the look that you need
It's-
to rock.
I'll work on it, dude. I also, talking style for a minute, dude. I'd love to get a. David Crosby used to wear one in like the '70s, like the fringe jackets.
course,
They
yeah.
had like the leather fringe. I was like,
Mhm.
bring those back. I could see Lucas and I rocking those.
You definitely could.
It comes with the territory, I guess. If you have a ponytail, you can
I thought about buying one for a while
incorporate
too.
some
There
of
was-
those
yeah.
those hippie styles.
There was a tan suede one with the
Yep.
fringe that I came
Ooh.
across in a vintage shop. It no longer exists, but in
Right.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire, it's called Old as Adam. And
That's
I saw
good.
it and I was like, "Wow, that is a jacket."
Yeah.
I couldn't pull the trigger on it though because I was also I wasn't as confident as I am now.
Right,
But I did
yeah.
walk out of the store with a circa 1917-ish American flag.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It's
so
like 100-year-old.
48 state. It's not a 50 state.
Oh,
yeah, it's
yeah.
very interesting.
Right, that's
So,
cool.
yeah, it
That's
was neat.
cool. That
Yeah.
like I said, that history stuff is cool, man. And
I love
speaking
it.
of history, I mean, when we were in Ireland, man, we went to Blarney Castle.
Amazing.
That was
time.
we went and may have had a few drinks at lunch, and
Maybe.
we're feeling it was cold.
It's
To be
con-
fair, it was one of the coldest days there,
Yeah.
and we were going into Torr Castle.
I did not bring enough clothing for
No.
the trip.
No, and I brought nothing but bean boots, and I
Mhm.
hated myself after walking a whole week
Yeah.
in nothing but bean boots. Because I thought, oh, everybody's like, oh, Ireland, it rains all the time. It rained one day when we were there,
And just when we were in Blarney.
and yep, exactly. It was actually like they're like, this is unheard of. This is the nicest weather we've had, and it's like, oh, probably because we're here. No, it's like it's like I was ready to be like flooded, not
Right.
warm and sunny and whatever.
It was amazing.
Yep, but
Blarney.
I loved going up there, dude. We were making jokes.
Yeah,
We're
so,
entertaining people because there's a line. You know what I'm saying? To get to
Exactly.
the top.
And I have a fascination with architecture dating back to then too. I
Right.
mean, not just the modern stuff. So,
Right.
I was pointing out to the guys on the way up. I was like, "Oh, these are the weeblettes, the murder holes."
The murder hole.
And so, the us four clueless Americans joking our way up, quipping here and there,
Yeah.
and then people who are probably, Irish, but they're on either to tour or what have you, or maybe other Europeans are looking at us like, "Who are these guys?"
Where did they find these guys?
Exactly. And
Well-
so I think that it might have been a good day for us, but I think we made everyone else's day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and it wasn't like we were detracting from the situation, like or ruining people's trips to Blarney Castle. No, we were very much just having fun. Like fetch the murdering slippers, Tyrone. The murder hole. Don't step down there.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. What it's just so cool. And honestly, it's like so I've done a lot of like research and study on castle design, but it's
Yep.
actually I think the first castle I've ever actually been in because we
Same.
waited until the end of our trip to go and visit the castle in Dublin downtown
Right.
there.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
also very impressive. That was like
Impressive.
the arsenal.
But yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But built very differently, much more blocky,
Yes.
without consideration because it was built among buildings. It was
Yeah, it's-
less of a consideration for tactical advantage.
Right.
Yeah,
It was probably a lot of those. You see a lot of those types of fortresses pop up. I mean, in France, it's obviously not there anymore, but they had the Bastille,
Yeah.
which is right in Paris. And in
Mhm.
London, you had the Tower of London, obviously, and Buckingham Palace. But those, again, city planning's huge.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
like that's another thing. I'm sure you must.
Devin almost visited abroad to Mont Saint Michel.
Yeah. Out on the
So,
island, the
yeah.
sandbar. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, not
impressive.
Chamonix. Sorry. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the Mont Saint Michel is on the
Yeah.
in the East Coast or
Yeah.
West Coast. Sorry.
Yeah. But it's
yeah.
still that's a really impressive feat of architecture. The fact that you can only get out there when the tide is low.
Mhm.
It's awesome.
It's super cool.
It's kick ass. We don't
yeah.
do. I mean, like again, we have bridges and technology, but we just don't do shit like
Well,
that anymore.
nothing-
And we don't need defense. I mean, like
No Western European style architecture or developed architecture that isn't Native American dates back further than 200 years here because
Right.
either it wasn't built to last or that's the earliest day they could do it. But if you go abroad to Europe, I really love to go to Asia.
yeah.
You're seeing architecture that has lasted millennia.
Oh yeah.
I was able to visit aqueducts. We got held up on our trip on the way up to Lake Como because a bridge had collapsed. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but
Yeah.
it was a train bridge that apparently was built on top of an existing arch that had been up there since the Roman era, circa I think it was 200 BC.
Jeez.
Pretty wild.
Well, a lot of their roads that are built on top of the foundation is all Roman roads. I mean,
Yeah.
those fuckers knew how to build a road.
Yeah,
They do a lot better than DOT does.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
The Via Aurelia and the Via Appia, which run both,
Yes.
through the entirety of the peninsula, and were Rome's way of getting their military might up
Yeah.
to the Gallic regions.
Yeah, it's like Dwight
yeah.
Eisenhower in the interstate system.
Oh my
You got to
God.
move your military. Well, I mean, and that goes to show though that like even though we've progressed and like we have different ways of building roads now, we're still doing them with the same intentionality. It's like we need to be able to move a lot of shit from here to here, and we don't have a real good way of doing that
Yeah.
right now.
But you can't talk infrastructure without talking politics, which is tough.
Which is true because everything's inherently political these days.
It is, and I think
Even
I,
the fact
I
like
might
fix
know.
the roads, fix the fucking roads. Like-
I kind of think that you and I have a better understanding of that than most.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
we do, and it's because we grew up in it in a lot of ways, and also just found a natural liking and just had some abilities in that field too. I mean, both of us are very capable political folks, and it's just finding the right moment and the right opportunity. Like I said,
Exactly.
I worked for Weld, and would I do it again? Hell yeah, I would, because again, it was at the time the right thing to do.
Yeah.
We had to stand. Somebody had to frickin' stand up. You know,
I
that's again, that's my opinion, but somebody had to, and we're seeing it now. The
Yeah.
Republican Party's a dumpster fire, man.
Yeah. Well, I
At
can
least
neither
federally.
I can
anyway.
neither comment nor
Yeah,
speculate on
yeah.
said things.
Yeah.
Uh, but I gotta say, when I saw you engaged in your political work, when I came to one of your events in
Yeah,
Portsmouth,
right. Yeah, I had the event at the
I was like,
Portsmouth
man, this
Gaslight.
guy is really in his element. You know.
I thought I
So,
was anyway. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Times change.
yeah, times
Yeah.
times they do in fact change. Like I said, I really do like electrical though. It's different. Like I said, it's a different set of skills.
It's awesome. It's very important.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and everything.
circling back to infrastructure,
Yeah.
it's going to be
Electrical the grid, and
Yeah.
shit like that.
electricians are going to be pivotal
Mm.
in the next 50 years of infrastructure development in the United States.
Yep.
Mark my words.
Oh yeah.
I've been lucky enough to be on meetings regarding clean energy progression in Massachusetts.
Yep.
So that, specifically relating to offshore wind and the way they're going to position that off the south coast and near the Cape.
Right. Oh,
So-
near the Cape, people are gonna get itchy.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why it's been held up so long, because
Yep.
this project has been talked about for over a decade.
Oh, we
But-
had a similar thing up here too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the fact that it's finally getting going because they're either alleviating people's worries or people understand that it's necessary.
Yeah.
You know, wind, solar, and hydro are some of the most efficient ways of producing clean energy.
Yeah, and I mean, eventually, once the tech catches up,
Mhm.
pocketbook nuclear power plants, Gen 4, Gen 5 reactors, baby. They're waste neutral.
Yeah.
They consume their own waste. We're just not. Again, that technology's just not there yet.
But it is there.
I mean,
because-
it's that. You're right.
yeah,
Right.
Nuclear power. I think that there's a certain stigma that's attached to it.
Yeah.
because
Oh
of-
yeah. I mean,
because
everybody
of the
thinks 3
fallout in
Mile
Japan.
Island and Chernobyl, and well, don't build a reactor on a barrier reef,
Yeah.
dummies. Like, again, planning.
Yes.
This goes into everything we've been talking about: city
Execution.
planning and execution. If you're gonna build, again, if you want to live in a society and you want to have urban sprawl, you've got to plan it.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, like you can see it in like driving in New York City, or operating on the roads in New York City versus operating the roads in Boston, as I've talked about numerous times.
Good luck
Boston
to
is
visitors to
cowpath.
Boston.
Is cowpaths.
Well, they
that
were
became
invented
roads.
exactly.
Right.
They were carriage roads.
Yes.
With in some of the oldest buildings in a large city in the United States, that Pennsylvania and some other regions,
like Philadelphia,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
or downtown Philadelphia.
yeah. So
anyway.
they took existing roads and just paved them. So that's why there's a lot of one ways in Boston.
Yeah.
It's also a very compact city, less
Yeah.
than 2 square miles of Boston property.
Oh, and
Yeah.
to be fair, a lot of the city's built on fill.
Yeah.
They just dumped a bunch of shit into the harbor and built on top of it. This is years and years ago,
Yeah.
but
I'm not familiar with that fact, but yeah, definitely.
no, yeah.
yeah.
Well, this is like when they first founded Boston.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of that stuff was water at one time,
Yeah.
and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, especially with sea levels going up and the climate, whatever's going to happen with the climate, it'll be interesting to see how the Boston waterfront reacts, how up here the Portland waterfront reacts.
Yeah.
Because it'll be at the old port, whatever. And
Right.
Same thing with the Boston Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
Great
Yeah.
area, nice spot, but be interesting to see how this climate adventure plays out.
Definitely. And I think that we're taking the first steps towards it. Too little, too late, though.
Oh, of
It's probably
course.
the one opinion I truly have, other than the housing thing, with
Yeah.
politics, in reference to political stuff.
Yeah.
is I truly believe that we should have acted sooner, and we
Yeah.
need to act quicker.
Yeah,
with
I mean-
clean energy, and then with housing, it should be more accessible, more affordable,
Right.
and available with the idea that you're promising young individuals that it's an opportunity for them to, not make their stand, but
Well, have something to call your own. In a
Yeah,
lot of ways.
exactly.
I mean, that's big for folks. I mean, like I said, if you want to rent your whole life, by all means, do your thing. If you don't want to own something, that's fine. But
it's your prerogative.
the majority, and I feel it safe in saying, the majority of folks want to carve out a little corner of the sky for themselves, and whether that be 40 acres and a mule, or whether that is 1,000 square feet and no yard. Whatever that is, we need to do something. Like I was talking with you last night around here, affordable housing is definitely an issue, as it is literally everywhere. That's the one issue that's nationwide right now, worldwide, really, affordable housing.
It is definitely worldwide.
It's a worldwide issue. I mean,
Yeah.
from the tip of South America to the North Pole, baby, you got to live somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to live somewhere, and that's the thing, and that's one of the biggest things when I was on the Weld campaign. We had the Clara Monier, who you probably met at that event.
I think once or twice.
In passing. I mean, she's a New Hampshire legend in the political scene, but she was the housing czar in the Northeast anyway for Reagan. And she may not have agreed with all of his policies on housing, but she taught me a lot about how we can do things and working with nonprofits. And there's a path to do it. It's just taking the initiative. And, again, having the capital in the back. Like we have closed, abandoned, not abandoned, but, the storefronts are gone. We got malls up the Yaz. They're just big empty parking lots at this point.
Yeah.
Let's change some zoning around. Let's get temporary, walls inside these because they're big, just empty spaces.
Yeah.
Turn them into house. You can have a central courtyard with apartments and you could do 2 floors of it would be beautiful.
It'd
and
be
you could do
awesome.
it in such a way it doesn't have to look like a Sears, or whatever. It look like a box store. So
Right. Yeah. So with reference to political ideology,
yeah,
I think what is misunderstood, at least when we were coming up in the political program at St. A's, because
Yeah.
it is such a interesting space where we got to meet so many influential and important people.
right.
But also you come up with a group of young individuals with aspirations and dreams, but they don't understand that when you join into the political system, if that is indeed your path, you really can't go in with your own ideology.
Nope.
You're there to morph to the people that are hiring you.
Yeah, and you have to in some capacities. Like, I'll be honest with you, Bill Weld and I do not agree on unions.
Yeah.
We have very different opinions, and I had to, at the end of the day, swallow my pro-union views and go along with him and not be
Yeah.
pro-union.
It's,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
all
You gotta play ball with who's ever paying you.
yeah.
You know, that's
in the end, it's all sales.
Yeah.
You're selling
the intangible.
your thoughts,
The
exactly,
bullshit.
and your candidate to a degree.
Yeah.
I haven't done campaigning myself. I work in the legislature.
Right, yeah, and
So,
to preface, Jeff works in the Massachusetts State House.
Beacon Hill, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, to preface, he's not coming just unfounded. I went to college. Trust me. no,
No.
he have real work experience, and
Yeah,
that's
so
appreciated.
it's-
And again, in a different type of system too.
Exactly.
Massachusetts is crazy politically compared to Maine.
It's the 15th largest state budget in the country.
Yeah, I mean, you
46
guys
to-
have
well,
your
when I
own
started
GDP for Christ's sake.
Yeah,
so.
when I started out, it was a $44 billion budget, FY20. And then by now, we're going into FY23, and we're looking at, I think it's either $46 or $48 billion. Not to mention supplemental budgets
Right.
and, bills that are heavily influenced by funding on top of that. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, we just had the opportunity to pass last Thursday a bill relative to cannabis expansion.
Oh yeah.
So,
You were telling me
yeah.
about that.
And then we're working on a climate bill as well right now, which
Yep.
still needs to be rectified both in the House and the Senate, and hopefully can go before the governor by the end of the term, which
Good
will
old
be
How's Charlie Baker doing these days?
great question. I honestly,
Great question.
Is
Is he gonna run again?
No,
No,
he's done.
he's
So
done, really,
He announced that he and Karen Polito, his
Yep.
lieutenant governor, are both going to be retiring from politics.
Wow.
They've been in the
Polito's
game quite a long
Polito's
time.
gonna get done.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that brings, if we're talking campaigning, which I know is your thing,
Right. Yeah.
the gubernatorial campaign right now in Massachusetts is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at 2 Republican candidates and 2 really leading Democratic candidates. Because
Yeah.
the field is larger, but it's really
Right.
Attorney General Maura Healey and State Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, who's from the Boston area.
I was gonna say that name sounds familiar.
Yeah. I think, and this is purely speculative.
Yeah, of
but
course.
I think that it's going to come out with Maura Healey on top because she has the state experience. She's well known, pretty well liked. And I met her a handful of times, and I, really respect her advocacy on behalf of the people of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Chang Diaz too. Also, I think she doesn't have the polling numbers, but I think she has a strong chance.
Mhm.
Whereas, I believe his name is Jeff Deal, and there's another guy,
Yep.
Chris Dowdy.
Well, what type? And also too, the not New Hampshire. Well, New Hampshire too, but Massachusetts is unique in the sense that it's a blue state.
Yeah.
But you end up with these moderate Republican governors. As my former boss, Governor Weld, was the guy who started that.
The Republican caucus in the state Senate
So what I
is
was-
3 people.
Right.
So
right,
out of 40.
Yeah. Well, when you joke and you say all 3 Republicans
Yeah.
in Massachusetts, it's actually true.
Exactly.
But that being said, what I was getting at is that are these? And again, I asked just because I lived it. Are these Massachusetts, New England Republicans, or are they whatever off-brand? And without getting you in trouble, obviously, with your comments, but
Oh no, I'm watching
Are
myself.
these
Don't you worry.
guys? You know, are they on the Trump train, or are they the old school?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So it's like highly regional, like we were
Yep.
talking about. So
course.
if you're out in the Berkshires, you're dealing with a lot of rural frustrations,
Yep.
which I think plays into the Trump style of Republican commentary.
Or
But-
Tea Party. Yeah,
exactly.
It's
But then,
all
so
bundled up there. Yeah,
there's State Senator Bruce Tarr, who
that name's.
I really respect
Yep.
his work. He's been in the Senate for over 25 years.
That's right. Isn't
He represents, I believe it's First Essex, which
Yeah,
is
okay.
Devon's hometown of Manchester by the Sea.
Right.
Gloucester is his hometown, all the way up to Salisbury. So
That's a big district.
it's a
for-
big district. But he represents what, truthfully, is some of the most influential old money towns in the Commonwealth.
Oh yeah.
So
Old money.
exactly.
We sent the butler first.
But he knows how to play the game, whereas some of those Trump-style Republicans do not.
No.
Because
They lacked a lot of the tact. It's our way or the highway.
Decorum.
And
decorum is the
exactly.
word.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. It's crazy because
Yeah, and
Bruce-
being polished.
yes,
too.
Bruce Tarr, what I respect so much about him is that he has been the underdog this whole time
Yeah,
as the minority,
right.
the minority leader in the Senate. And he knows how to get along and play bipartisan politics and agree, with Democratic ideals and also introduce some more conservative thought to the
Yeah,
state, which I
which-
think is needed to balance
Which is
it out.
fiscal. I'm a big, like I said, I like
Mhm.
fiscal conservative, big on that, and
Mhm.
that's why I think that's part of the reason I think the
Mm-hmm.
Republican governors do so well in Massachusetts is
Yeah.
because those are the guys. I mean, with the exception of Congress and Ways and Means, obviously. I mean, the governor's budget is the governor's budget.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean, when you set that out,
Say when you come around to Ways and Means, I mean that's my territory.
right? No,
you know?
exactly. That's why I mentioned that.
Yeah,
It's
so-
that you guys are the folks who appropriate the money.
I don't think we touched on it yet, but yeah. So I am the legislative aide to
Right.
Chairman Michael Rodericks, who represents First Bristol and Plymouth County,
Yes.
which is
Yep. Good to get that.
yes,
out
Fall
there.
River,
Yes.
Freetown, Lakeville, Somerset, Swansea, Westport,
Well, and your dad
Rochester,
is originally from Fall River,
the Fall River area.
Fall River area,
Yeah.
so it's kind of connected.
Exactly.
Like,
So
which is
I've got
cool.
the history there.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And I love
Big Portuguese area.
It is.
Yes.
It's actually so wicked fun fact.
Yeah.
The Fall River and New Bedford area, so South Coast Massachusetts,
Yes.
is the largest population of Azorian Portuguese people outside of Portugal.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, but I think that if we're counting people of, varying levels of descent
Mhm.
from immigration, I actually think the number of Azorians in the southeast Massachusetts area is larger than actually in the Azores themselves.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
I haven't been over there yet. I want to go really
Yeah,
badly.
Portugal's on my list of places to go,
Yes.
and Brazil too. I mean,
Mhm.
I had my co-coach Marcio on many an episode ago now at this point, but
Yes.
and he's talking about Brazil. I mean, it's like there are some rough parts and of Brazil, and that comes down to corrupt government and other problems like that. But that being said, it's a beautiful country just on face value between the Amazon and then the coast, between Rio and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And same thing with over on the other side of the pond in Portugal. I mean, it's Spain and Portugal. I have two countries I really want to get to.
The Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah, dude. I've been to France. Haven't made it further south than that though. I mean, France, Italy, Switzerland, England, Ireland.
Quite the traveler.
Got to do more though.
Yeah.
COVID really derailed my travel plans
Well, I'll tell you what. Come
and
down.
and everything else.
Join the political sphere in Massachusetts. Work the system, and then we can take vacations together, man.
I know.
I don't see you often enough, buddy.
I know, buddy. I miss you. And I miss you and Dev and now you guys have your dog Cedar.
Oh, yeah.
The Italian Spinone, which never had any interaction with that type of breed of dog before, but
There's less than 3,000 in the world.
They're
Yeah,
cool,
They're
but
really
it-
neat.
yeah.
He's got a very mellow personality. That is until he sees a
And-
duck or a pheasant, and then it's
right.
he's all
over.
game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then like you guys are building a little life for yourself now,
Trying our
like I
best.
said, you guys just got engaged, which is awesome, and
hmm I've been with
I
her for
mean-
6 years.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean that's terrific, dude. And like I said, I wish you guys the best there with planning and all that good
Thank
stuff.
you.
That's not an easy process by any means, So
No, but it's a welcome one.
Yes, of course.
It's a big step, but I'm so excited to
Yeah.
be with, really finalize things and be with her for, forever.
the rest of your life.
Yeah. Until one of us croaks.
Until
Yeah.
somebody dies. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's she's awesome and my best friend. Sorry,
Yeah.
bud.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
It's-
actually, well, it's funny. I became friends with Devin before. We were really, really close and started hanging out
Yeah.
a lot. Just by circumstances
know.
and just meeting people. It was crazy. And like I said, two of you guys are awesome. And like I said, wish you guys the best of luck there and congratulations. The
Thank you.
official DuView podcast. Congratulations.
hey, it means a lot.
Yeah, of course, buddy. And Jeff, just thanks for coming up, dude. You made the trip up, and so. Great to have you on. Great. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views and giving us some insight into the political system in Massachusetts.
Anytime.
And anything else, really. Giving us some perspective on living somewhere that's not Maine. Because, we talk a lot about Maine on this podcast.
It can't be an echo chamber.
It can't be a right. I can't keep. I'm stuck in my own head. So
Right.
no, it can't be. We can't be an echo chamber. And so, got to shake things up a little bit and give the people something a little different.
Of
So,
course.
Any shout outs before we wrap things up, buddy?
Shout outs, any of my non-Mainers out there, keep listening because it gets better.
Yeah.
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 Love this guy. We need more listeners on here, man.
I'm working on it, dude. Working on it.
because what you're putting out is it's a really special audio experience.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I agree. I really appreciate that. And that being said, thank you for all of you who continue to tune in every few weeks here to listen to me and some great folks babble on. So greatly appreciate that. Keep up to date with everything we're doing on social media. The DuView podcast, DuView207 on Instagram. Give us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, really any of the podcast platforms. It helps us out a lot, fighting the algorithms and all that good stuff, as you folks know. So, yeah, just keep on keeping on, guys, and I hope everybody's doing all right. And summer's coming, guys. Spring is here and summer's coming. It's warming up. So I'll be out doing some more things here. Unfortunately, snowmobiling season's done. But that being said, I'll be out doing some more DuView adventures. Hopefully, going to have some pretty good stuff planned for the summer episodes and some extra adventures and a few other things here. So if that's not enough of a carrot and stick, stay tuned, all right? So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks again, Jeff, for coming on, buddy. And we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.